So I think this is a good topic to talk about, because if you're anything like me, your inbox gets hammered every second day by somebody offering to sell SEO, SEO services. And so I think it would be good to sort of know a little bit about the topic. So I work on what I call a 40, 30, 20, 10 rule. And that is that 40% of what people tell you about SEO is complete BS. That's just the only way to put it. It's just wrong, sometimes comically wrong. I think 30% is true, but I mean, technically it's true, but I think in a lot of cases they overstate the importance of it. So sometimes, people tell you that you should be doing this or that for SEO, and I mean, they're not wrong, but you won't get like dazzling results just from following that advice. I think 20% of it maybe was true at one time, but not so much these days, because SEO, people have been doing it for a long time. Google's been around for a long time. So what was true in the past isn't necessarily true now. And I think probably 10% of it is actually, effective, actionable advice. And so that's mainly what I want to concentrate on in this presentation. Right. So in this presentation, what are you going to learn? Well, we're going to start by talking about why Google is still the king of search, and why does that matter for you. We're going to talk about what search terms people are using to find optometry practices, and I've got some real data to share with you around that, so you don't want to miss that. We're going to talk about on-page and off-page factors that determine your visibility in Google search results. So these are terms that you've probably heard about, but we're just going to clarify what those mean. We're going to talk about how to make Google love your website, some tips for getting better rankings in the Google search results, and also we'll talk about how to optimize for Google Map results. So the Google Maps, I think, are a very important strategy for local businesses, small businesses in particular, and so we're going to talk more about that. But before that, who am I? Well, so my name's Paul Salloway. I started getting into digital marketing and web consulting way back in 2008, and I've been helping clients with WordPress and SEO projects and general digital marketing ever since. In December 2022, I started Optics Digital Marketing to exclusively help independent optometrists in Australia and New Zealand. So that's pretty much the only industry niche that I work in these days. I've had a few articles published in My Vision Optometry magazine. I think there was one published just the other day, in fact, about video marketing. So you should definitely check those out if you have a chance. And I've at this stage I've helped more than a dozen independent eye care practices in Australia to grow their business. But don't take my word for it. Recently, I did an interview with DAMON EZEKIEL. He's the owner of EZEKIEL Eyes over in Perth, Western Australia. So up until recently, Damon was the international president of the, let me get this right, International Contact Lens Specialists Society. I think that's probably not correctly what it is, but it's something like that. Anyway, he's been active in the optometry community for a long time, and so Damon's been a client of ours for over a year now, and so you can listen to what Damon has to say about his experience with working with Optics Digital Marketing and various things that we've done. So Damon volunteered the fact that his web traffic has increased by more than 60% in the year that we've been working together and doing SEO services for him. So so if you go to the Optics Digital Marketing website, or opticsdigital.net website, I have a link at the end of the presentation. and you can watch that interview with DAMON. It's only about 8.5 minutes, so it's not that long. So I just want to share some other case study results. I can't share the names of these clients for confidentiality reasons, but I can talk about what we did. So you can see here, this is web traffic from Google Search Console. So this was one client we worked with who wanted to focus on specialty contact lenses and getting more web visitors for their specialty contact lens services. And here I'm talking about mostly Ortho-K. And so around the middle of 2024, we began a targeted strategy around that. And you can see that within the space of, June, July, August, September, October. So within the space of 4 months, we almost doubled the amount of web traffic to that website. This is another client. So we talked about really doubling down on their dry eye treatment services at the end of 2024. So we published a lot of content around that topic, and you can see what happened right there. It just took off like a rocket in January, and so we're not all the way through February yet, but I can tell you now that when I republish this graph, I'm going to have to get a taller graph, because it's gone literally off the chart, the amount of traffic that we're likely to report in February. I'll show you one more case study. So this was another client. We started working with them back middle of 2023. Originally looking at sort of like just general SEO, and then around the middle of last year, the client said that they wanted to get more visibility around the specialty lenses that they offer, and I'm talking about things like MyoSmart, myopia control lenses, the FL41, anti-migraine lenses, that sort of thing. So we worked on that, and again, you can see what happened. So from the middle of last year, it's just sort of gone up and up and up and up to the right. So those are all good results and show what is achievable with search engine optimization. And the advantage of all this is that paying for traffic can be a potentially expensive business, like paying for Google ads, paying for even Facebook ads. That costs money, but if you know how to set up your website correctly using SEO principles, then Google brings all of this traffic to your door, to your digital door, essentially for free once you've done the work. All right, so that's enough about me. Let's get into it. So if Elvis is the king of rock and roll, and Google is definitely the king of search engines, and they got that way because their algorithm evolved to understand what users really want and matching that search intent with the best answers. I've been around long enough that I remember when the internet first came on the scene, and there were these things called internet cafes that started popping up, and I walked into one the first time and sat down, and I remember the guy showing me how you're supposed to access the internet, and at that time there was like Yahoo and Excite and Lycos and Alta Vista, and there was like a whole heap of other search engines that are just names now, but they've all gone by the wayside, and Google has eaten their lunch for them because they came up with a better algorithm that was actually better at serving people up what they wanted. And that algorithm, I think they registered a patent for it called the PageRank algorithm. And part of that success was they based a lot of their algorithm on backlinks. So a backlink is when you get a link to your website from another website, and the quality of that other website counts for a lot. there are different factors that go into it, but that's the general idea. Google have also put a focus on user experience. So Google prefers web pages that are mobile friendly, easy to navigate, and offer some kind of original content. This is becoming more important now in the age of AI, where Google is kind of not exactly penalizing, but they just disregard anything that's just a bland regurgitation of what other people have already written. It's not, if you're not adding anything original to the world, then they're less likely to give you a good ranking in their search results. So originality counts. So they're constantly updating this algorithm as well, and tweaking the parameters. I'm not sure how often they do it officially, but it seems like at least every 12 months they come out with a fairly big update to their algorithm. And that's an important point about this whole topic, which is that the goalposts are continuously moving. That SEO is not a once and done kind of exercise. So you've got the rules of the game changing, not to mention competitors. You've got new websites coming onto the scene, old websites that are updating themselves and becoming part of the modern competition. So it's not a once and done thing. And what does this all mean for you? Well, I think the numbers speak for themselves. Like in 2024, this is according to SEMrush, the search engine website and software. In 2024, 77% of consumers utilized Google to find information about local businesses, and 86% use Google Maps to find it. So so those are big numbers, and it really means that Google is still the essential platform for any local small business that wants to have any sort of online visibility. So okay, so let's get into some actual actionable items now. What can we do? What can you do to get your site seen in Google? What can you do to get your eye care practice ranking better in Google search results? Well, I think it starts off with doing the keyword research and finding out what terms patients are actually using to search for eye care services. And I think a good place to start is your own Google Search Console. So if you've got a website, you should definitely have Google Analytics installed, and the partner to that is Google Search Console. They're different products, but they're kind of related. So you should talk to your webmaster, whoever looks after your website, as soon as you can, and find out if this is installed, because your Google Search Console is going to give you a lot of good insights into how people are coming to your business. And what I found, and this is something that I've researched from looking at the clients that I've worked with over the last 12 months, about 65% of the traffic is going to be based on brand name searches. So if I've got a practice called like ABC Eye Care, it means someone's typing into Google. So ABC Eye Care, or Paul's ABC Eye Care, or something where it's quite obvious that they already know about the business, and they're just using Google as a navigational tool to get there. It's not a discovery thing. And so that 65%, that's an important segment. And I think we can have another discussion about how you should nurture that 65% in terms of like getting them, to become just, well, if they're infrequent patients, get them to become more frequent, get them, educate them about the types of services that you offer, maybe more premium services, maybe like more high quality brands of frames and glasses and sunglasses that you might offer. Educate them about contact lenses. So there's a whole conversation to be had there about that 65%, which we won't do in this live broadcast, but maybe in another one. So that's 65% are doing brand name searches. Another 15%, give or take, these are people doing non-brand searches. So this would be someone who, for example, searches optometrist Sydney or eye doctor in Melbourne or something like that. So they're looking for an eye care professional, but it's not clear exactly why, and it's not clear that they exactly want you. It probably isn't you. So it's a generic non-brand search. I think another 15% are looking for more specific services. So things like they might be searching for dry eye therapy or myopia control clinic, ortho-K, eye testing, something like that, where they do have a particular service or maybe a product in mind. And I think that last 5%, and this is something I think that often gets overlooked, is that people do have, well, many people do have a certain amount of loyalty to brands, particular brands of products. I mean, I used to buy the same pair of shoes every 2 years for so many years. My father, I think he's been buying the same brand of TV for the last 30 years. And with eyewear, it's the same. If you have owned a particular brand of eyewear in the past, and it worked for you, you liked it, then that's probably going to be the starting point for upgrading your eyewear next time around. So what I have seen, and this is data, this is not an opinion, but I have seen that about 5% of searches that lead to that bring visitors to an eye care website is where that person is looking for a particular brand, like, for example, Seiko or Pleat Denmark, Francis Klein, something like that. So that might seem like not a big number, 5%, but don't forget that that percentage of people, they have high buying intent. So it would seem that they're not looking for information, they're looking to buy, right? So that's a segment I think that you don't want to ignore. Right, so on-page SEO factors. So on-page means, the hints in the title. It's everything that's like on your website. These are things that are fully under your control, and these are things that are a factor in helping Google to match the search with the answer. So the these on-page factors help Google to understand what your website's about and what particular pages are about. So things like the meta tags and description. So so the title tag, that's like what appears in the browser tab at the very top of your screen, and that's also what appears in the Google search results. And the meta description is is that little bit of text that you get underneath that clickable title, right? Now, Google sometimes you can give every page of your site a meta description, but Google, in their wisdom, sometimes ignore that, and they'll just come up with their own or summarize, from whatever else they can find on the page. But if you provide a meta description, then in a lot of cases that's what they'll use, and so you want to do that. What I see sometimes, and this makes me cry, is if I do a search, like, I don't know, let's say I'm looking for a lawn mowing service or something. If I search for lawn mowing services near me, that it might come up with the name of a company, but in the title tag it'll say home hyphen Bob's Lawn Mowing, something like that. So obviously they're getting that home title from the home page of the website. Somebody hasn't gone in and actually given that a meaningful title tag, and that's like low-hanging fruit that just hasn't been addressed. So make sure all of the key pages of your website have effective title tags that are optimized for keyword searches. Internal linking. So you want to make sure that the pages within your website link to each other. So if you've got like three blog articles about dry eye treatment, then they should all link to each other, and they should probably link back to a service page where you actually give a breakdown of the services, that dry eye services that you offer, and they should probably link back to the homepage as well. So all of this internal linking, it's good for users, but it's also good for Google, because then they can see how everything on your site is connected. Image optimization. So you want to make sure that your images are compressed as much as possible. So there are there are different ways to do that. There are plugins within WordPress that do that type of image optimization, really compress the file size down. There's just an online service that I often use. It's called Compress or Die. So compress-die.com, I think. And anyway, it does a fantastic job. It'll take an image that I might have snapped with my iPhone that's like a megabyte, and it'll compress it down to like 50K or something, 95% compression. So it's fantastic. Alt text tags. Whenever you might have seen this, whenever you add an image to your web page, it'll ask you to enter the alt text, ALT. And the backstory of that is that it was originally intended to help out screen readers, like people who actually have visual difficulties and they can't see the page. So there's a machine that has to read what's on the screen, read what's on the page, and so they understand the page that way. And so alt text tags were originally intended as to be something that a screen reader could use, but Google's algorithm is also blind in the biological sense of the word. So Google's algorithm also uses that as part of understanding what your web pages are about. The URL structure, so that's like your domain name is abc.com/services/dry eye or /ortho-K or /myopia control, or whatever it may be. So having clean URLs with keywords in them, that can be helpful as well. And the last but not least is content quality itself. So having informative, well-structured, patient-friendly content on your website, in your blog articles, having headings, subheadings, bullet point lists that can be easily scanned, graphics, tables, embedded videos from YouTube. Whenever I make a blog post, I always make a point of embedding some kind of video. It's usually not mine, but it's something. It's within YouTube's terms of service that anyone can use the videos on their platform. So there's no copyright issues there. Pull quotes, quizzes, so anything that you can do to provide more of a rich, enjoyable experience on the page, that all counts towards getting more attention from Google and ranking better. So you may hear SEOs talk about something called EAT or EEAT. So I'm just want to talk about that. I'm adding my own extra A on the end of it. Okay, so this acronym stands for expertise, experience, authority, trust, and authenticity. So these are the things, especially the first four, these are the things that Google is looking for in 2025. So expertise, so you should showcase your qualifications, any industry memberships. So if you're a member of the Orthokeratology Society of Oceania, then you should mention that on your website. Experience, so share any case studies or success stories about your practice. Like just this morning, I read on LinkedIn about practice that they introduced dry eye IPL to their practice, and they talked about what a success that's been. So that's the sort of thing that you can talk about on your website as well. Authority, so get mentioned by reputable sources in the media. So if you can get if you can get My Vision or Insight Magazine to write an article about you, that's great. That helps. You know, any sort of like reputable online source that mentions you, that's going to add to your authority. So trust. So collect patient reviews. Now I'll talk a little bit more about that. Display any awards, like for example, one of the clients we work with won a Telstra Best of Business Award a couple of years ago. So that's something that, you know, we prominently display throughout the website. So generally just show how you've worked with your community. And authenticity. So this is something that this is a pet peeve of mine, is that like sometimes I go to a website and there's like no photographs on there of anyone. I mean, like a photograph of an empty store maybe. But as I said to one client, I said, you know, if I didn't know better, I'd say this is an optometry practice with no optometrist, because I can't see any photos of you or even any photos of your team in here. So I think potential patients want to see that this is a, you know, this is a real business with real living, breathing humans behind them. You know, it doesn't matter if you don't have movie star good looks. You know, we're not all blessed. But anything that you can put on your website to just, you know, show authentically who you are. Videos are the best of all, of course, because, you know, with videos, it's just the most effective way to connect with your audience, and share your original perspective on things as well. Like if you absolutely love brands ABC, but you detest brands XYZ, then talk about it. You know, like write a blog post about it, explain why, record a short video about it. Is that going to be controversial? Yeah, maybe, but guess what? You'll get noticed. People, you know, appreciate your honesty and authenticity and sharing what you think, backed by your experience and qualifications. So, you know, I think unfortunately, a lot of professionals are afraid to take risks like that, but it is one way that you can really get noticed, and get traffic coming to your site. Yeah, patient reviews. Okay, so let's talk about that. So speaking of controversy, so here's what we know. So Google has no problem with you asking patients to leave a review. Actually, they encourage it. They even give you like a link that you can share with your patients, make it easy for them to leave a review. This is on Google, your Google business profile I'm talking about. APRA, the Australian Health Professionals Regulatory Authority. Now they have rules about how you can and can't use testimonials, right? So basically, what they say is that if somebody is leaving a review or a testimonial or a comment on Google, because you have no direct control over that platform, the Google reviews, then basically, you know, they say, look, we understand that that's out of your control. If you don't have you know, the capacity to edit or remove those reviews, c'est la vie, right? So they're absolutely fine. It's absolutely fine to get more Google reviews, and I would encourage that. Where it becomes a little bit of a gray area is whether or not you can ask patients for reviews. Now, I've read the APRA rules. I've read them more than once, and I cannot find anywhere in there where it says that you are not allowed to ask patients for a review. Right? There might be rules about where you can show those reviews, but I don't see anything in there which says that you're not allowed to ask for a review, like ask someone to leave a review on your Google business profile. So if somebody knows better, please tell me, because I'd love to see it. If you can quote, you know, chapter and verse where it says in APRA that you're not allowed to do that, I'd love to hear it, but I haven't seen it. And I think, as we all appreciate, that Google reviews are an effective way of building trust with potential new patients, right? So anytime you buy a product or order a service, like what is one of the first things you do? You go and look at how many reviews people have left and what the star rating has been. So until somebody can show me better, that's my position, is that all small businesses and even eye care professionals should be asking for Google reviews. Right, off-page SEO factors. So again, the hints in the title. So these are things that we don't have as much control over, because these are things that happen off the website. So backlinks. So remember, I talked about in the beginning that Google have this algorithm, this page rank algorithm, that kind of scores your website based on how many backlinks you're getting. So if you're getting links from authoritative websites, that's going to help more than if you're getting a link from Joe Smith's son, who's got a little blog site. That's not going to help you as much as if you can get a link from, say, My Vision or Insight Magazine or something like that. What I have been recommending to a lot of clients is that they consider local sponsorship deals, and this means like talking to your local sporting clubs. Whether that's football club. Well, football clubs tend to be more expensive, but maybe the local cricket club, the local hockey club, the local golf club, the local sailing club, local bowls club, whatever. So all of these organizations are looking for money, and they're quite happy to accept a sponsorship. They're going to give you the opportunity to put up some signage. But what's important for me in the digital marketing space is that they give you a link from their website, and that passes Google benefits. Remember, the authority, a lot of these clubs, they've been around for a long time, so they're established. They've got established websites. They're an established local name. That all helps. And yes, it's going to cost you some money, but you know what? In 2025, I think everyone realizes now that backlinks have an economic value. So it's very rare to get a worthwhile backlink for free. And so, I mean, buying backlinks is a whole business in itself. I have sort of like, I have ambivalent views about it. Let's put it that way. But I think sponsorships are totally fine. I think it's something they should do. It's also like there are real world benefits that come from doing that. I mean, you get to meet people, and get your name, spread your name, that sort of thing. So it's worth considering. Brand engagement. So activity on social media, like on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. It all contributes to people hearing the name of your practice, searching for you on online. So this is called brand engagement, and this is a signal that also Google looks at when they're deciding how highly they're going to rank your website. These are brand signals. Online reviews. So I just talked at length about online getting patient reviews, positive patient reviews. This definitely helps. And business directory citations. So this is something that I think a lot of businesses are not doing, but you can get your site listed for free in a lot of places like Yelp, like Bing Places, Apple Maps, and even smaller directories, like just one I've given an example here, localsearch.com.au. If you go to that site, you can see that you can register and create a listing for free. So I've got a list of a couple of dozen of these small local directories that if you reach out to me, I'm happy to share with you. All right, so optimize for Google Maps. So Google Maps are quite important. A lot of people will even search on Google Maps before they search the main, Google search box. If they're looking for a local business and they know that they have to go there in person, they go directly to Google Maps. It's quite important. But even beyond that, if you do a search for something like optometrist near me, then at the top of those search results, or near the top, you're going to see a little map, and you're going to see maybe 3 of the top ranking results from Google Maps. So we call this the local map pack. And if you can get into that, that's gold, because those local map pack listings are very prominent, and they do get a lot of clicks. So that's something you should definitely aim for. One of the things that will determine whether you get into the local map packs is how well your Google business profile is optimized. So if you've got a local business, you should claim your Google business profile listing. You probably already have one if you've been doing business for any time. You should make sure that all the details are filled out correctly on that, and that those details match what's on your website as well. Be sure that you've selected all the relevant categories. When you set up a Google business profile, you get to choose what categories to list your business for. So, the main one, I think everyone watching this is probably going to claim is optometrist. but there are others as well, like I think contact lens supplier. What else is there? Might be sunglasses supplier, I think, is another one. So there's probably about half a dozen secondary categories that you should claim as well. Regularly adding photos and Google update posts. So indirectly, this can help, because if you're showing Google that you're active about maintaining your profile, if it encourages people to click and to check out your photos, to read the reviews, all of this activity, these are positive signs for Google. So again, you should be regularly updating these things. Something that I think gets overlooked far too often is FAQs. Like within your Google business profile, you can, of course, visitors can ask questions. Like if a patient has a question about your practice, they can ask that question in the Google business profile FAQ section. But there's nothing to stop you seeding that FAQ either with like a bunch of, what are the top half a dozen questions that you get asked in your practice? Put them in the FAQ and supply the answers as well, of course. Make sure your website mentions the areas you serve, even if it's something as simple as in the footer, maybe saying we serve the following suburbs, and then list them all out, like list all the suburbs that are within a radius of where your practice is located. And to take it to the next level, what we do is actually create landing pages for each of these suburbs as well, and that tends to get results in Google Maps. And again, encourage reviews from patients. So I think that there's like a certain threshold. I think there's probably about 20 reviews that you need to hit. If it's less than that, then you're going to be penalized to some extent. But I think once you hit that threshold of 20 or more reviews, then Google kind of says, okay, right, it's a legitimate business. So that should be the first target that you do everything you can to hit. So here we are, I think almost at the end of this presentation. So action points. So I want to give you some simple sort of low barrier to entry action points that you can take away from this. So the first one is I want you to check your Google business profile is correct, especially the opening hours. And this is important because someone, I think it was Joy Hawkins at Sterling Sky, they're an SEO agency in Canada. They did a study recently where they proved that in the Google Maps results, Google will favor those businesses which happen to be open at the time the search was done. So if somebody's searching on let's say somebody's searching on a Sunday, for like optometrists near me, Google is going to prefer those practices that actually say they are open on Sundays. So if that's you and you're open on Sunday, but your business profile isn't saying that, then you're missing out there. So just make sure all the information is accurate. Improve your website's on-page SEO with informative, well-structured content and internal links. So what I see with a lot of websites, unfortunately, is they have a blog, but the blog articles within them are like just very thin. They might be like 400 words or something, and it just sort of looks like it's been copied and pasted from somewhere. Not a lot of effort's gone into it, really. It's often like just a wall of text. So if you have time, go and take a look at the content. Start with the blog articles and see if there's some way that you can make this like a bit more of a better user experience, like be more informative, like structure the content so it's easy to absorb. Bullet points always help. Maybe add a table, add a nice graphic or something. Just sort of polish it up a bit and give your blog content a first person voice, right? So this is something that I almost never see, is in your blog articles, you should be writing from the perspective of you, the business owner. So, okay, let's give an example, something like my site contact lenses. Okay, my site contact lenses for myopia control. So instead of saying like my site contact lenses are good for myopia control because you should be writing it from your perspective. So in my practice, we have found my site contact lenses to be great because right? So give it a voice. That's what people want to read. They want to hear your perspectives, your experience, and Google wants that as well. So like I'm sounding like a crap record here. Ask for patient reviews. So I had a client, and I think they've struggled for a long time with very few patient reviews. But I think something happened around Christmas time, where he took his team to a restaurant for Christmas dinner, and at the end of the dinner, the waitress came out and said, "Did everyone have a good meal?" And I said, "Yes." And she said, "Well, it would really help us out if you could leave us a review on our Google business profile." And so he was kind of stunned watching all of his team members. They got out their phones and started leaving a review right there and then. I think the penny dropped that if you want reviews, you've got to ask for them. It's as simple as that. It's not complicated. Register with some of these business directories. Like, get yourself registered with Yelp. Get yourself registered on Apple Maps. Get yourself registered on Bing Places. Right? That's all low-hanging fruit. It's not going to cost you nothing. And lastly, I think prioritize a social media posting schedule. Try to post something every week, twice a week even. Because this is going to generate interest in your brand. It's going to lead to brand searches, brand engagement. These are the brand signals that I talked about earlier. So start posting. It doesn't have to be like high production stuff. I tell my clients it's as simple as getting out your phone and Monday morning, take a selfie of you and the team. Here we are, ready to start the week again. Something really basic like that. Because people, like your patients, the ones who know you, they love that stuff. They'll eat it up with a stick. Anything that's got your face in it, and it's authentic, it's going to work. Trust me on that. So try to get into a regular social media posting schedule. That's my last action point for the day. All right. Well, so I hope this has been an informative presentation for anyone who watched it. I think I well and truly blew past the 15 minutes on the presentation side of this exercise, but you can watch it on fast forward. Let's put it that way. So I'm gonna post up the recording on YouTube as soon as I can. So here are some details. If you want to get in contact with me, you can go to my website, opticsdigital.net. I'm on LinkedIn, or you can email me directly. All right. So thanks very much, everyone.